Hello and welcome to the In Between. This is another one of the visual novels that was made for the little game jam that happened recently. The one where you can use the sprites made by Nikko, or you can just use your own thing. I believe that this one is about two couples who go on a hiking trip and they get lost. And can't really say more about that. But I believe the couples, one of them is a goat who is dating this girl named Clara, who is best friends with one of the other guys named Matt, who's a puma who is dating an owl, and I forget what his name is. But yeah, the puma and the other guy are the ones that get lost, and eventually the other two also get lost. As you might notice, the theme of some of these visual novels is relationships. So this sort of explores that a little bit. But yeah, I don't want to reveal too much about, what's gonna go on. I only read like a little bit to see how it was, and okay. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it, really. This will have a slightly different art style, which I kind of liked. But yeah, so I guess without further ado, let us begin the in-between. It was Clara's idea for them to all go hiking together. She wanted to do a double date with Matt's new boyfriend for some time now. Matt watched her walk ahead on the path, Liam by her side, the two of them idly talking away. Travis walks beside Matt, the two of them hanging back. "You doing all right there, babe?" "I know how to walk, His tone is a little more terse than expected, and Matt worries for a moment that maybe this whole thing wasn't a good idea after all. Clara and Liam and Matt are the ones who actually enjoy hiking, going once every month or so. Travis is the only odd one out. Matt gently nudges the owl's side with his hip, giving his boyfriend a playful smile. "And you're so good at walking, babe." Yeah. Travis gives a slight smile, and Matt takes it as a sign that the owl is not truly aggravated. They walk side by side, the light filtering in through the leaves. Liam and Clara are ahead of them, just a few paces when Liam spins on his heels to face them. Not regretting tagging along? He's walking backwards as he speaks, moving at a slightly slower pace than before. He doesn't even look over his shoulder, confident that he won't accidentally trip and fall over something behind him. Only a little. "We're glad that you came this time, Travis." She tosses a compliment over her shoulder with a smile. "Hey, maybe we can make this a regular thing, "Yeah, I was thinking the same thing." Travis grimaces. "Maybe only slightly regular." Matt can tell Liam is a little disappointed by the owl's lack of enthusiasm, so he chirps back. "Or slightly more than slightly regular?" Travis shoots Matt a look, but he can tell the owl doesn't want to get into this right now. More importantly, he doesn't want to hurt Liam's feelings. Matt imagines that back at their places, Travis will go into more details about how he was right, that this isn't the sort of thing, and if he could stop making commitments for him, please. He can just drop it now. He doesn't want to argue about fucking hiking of all things, please. So Matt doesn't continue. He just smiles and enjoys the time before the conversation inevitably comes his way. "I think that I can go for slightly regular too." "Yeah, it's nice to have another person along." The path widens a little, enough to give the floor room to all walk side by side. Clara slows her pace to let Matt walk by her side. Travis awkwardly hangs along the edge of the path besides Matt. "Besides, I think Matt is sick of being our third wheel." She nudges Matt with her elbow. Yeah, now I'm the odd one out. It's true, out of all the four of them, Leon is the only straight one. Clara had been apprehensive about going into her first few dates, with the goat having told Matt time and time again that she would only date a man if he was bi to. But then one date became several years together, and now she wears an engagement ring on her paw. Liam would tag along with Matt and Clara for every pride parade, wearing a goofy t-shirt embossed with "I love my bi girlfriend" in purple, pink, and blue block text. Ordinarily, Matt would find those types of shirts tacky and insincere, but when Liam wears them, there's not a doubt in Matt's mind that it's genuine. "Aw, babe, it makes such a good token straight." It's true, though it's never too late. "And abandoned my beautiful fiancé?" With this, he gives Clara a side squeeze. She lets out a high-pitched yelp, half laughing. She pushes gently back at Liam. "Hey, you could have both. There's such a thing as a threesome for a reason." Liam gasps in fake horror. "Are you offering a threesome, Maddie?" "What? No way." Matt laughs with a little more force than intended, wanting to make it obvious to Travis that it's a joke. But instead it sounds too forced, like he's hiding something. "Travis and I are a perfectly happy twosome, thank you very much." Matt takes his boyfriend's talon in his paw and squeezes it for emphasis. Travis doesn't squeeze back, but he doesn't withdraw his talon either. He rolls his eyes instead. "Ugh, please don't call us a twosome ever again, babe." "Babe," the word brings Matt some reassurance, and he can feel his shoulders relax a bit. "I'll try, but I can't promise." They walk for a little while longer in what Matt hopes is an easy quiet. It isn't long before Travis asks if they can rest so that he can take a leak. They stop for a moment, grateful for an excuse to unshoulder their backpacks and rest them on the ground. Liam wanders a little down the path, still in view, claiming to have found a good spot to check his work emails real quick. In spite of toting claims about hiking being his way of being off the grid, for a little while, they all know that's nearly impossible for him. Matt and Clara watch as the goat moves about in a circle, maneuvering his phone around, trying to catch a bit of signal. Matt takes an eager swig of his water bottle. Clara fidgets with the label of her own water bottle in her paws as they watch her fiancé. "So, you guys having fun?" "Yeah, I think this was a good idea." She gives him a wiry smile. "You guys are both having fun?" Matt pauses. "Who, Travis? Of course he is." "I just know that this isn't his sort of thing. I almost didn't invite him, but, you know." "Yeah, but I think he's liking it. Just being included in everything. And he likes you too." "I know, it's just..." She shakes her head with a sigh. "If you want to head back early, just say the word." "Why would we do that?" She gives him a pointed look. "I'm just giving you an easy out. I can say it's period cramps or something." "Don't need it, thank you." Her playful expression shrinks back, and she turns her attention to her water bottle. Matt shifts uncomfortably, watching her peel away at the edges of her water bottle labeled with a strange, intent focus. As if carefully tearing patterns in the edges of the label is the most important thing in the world, their conversation an afterthought. He wonders if he's upset her now, too. "I'm gonna take a piss, too." She hums an acknowledgement, and Matt heads off the path and into the trees. He follows where he saw Travis disappear into, and it doesn't take long until he sees a pale silhouette. His stark white barn owl face looks ghost-like from a distance, a spectral disembodied head floating just above his figure. In an odd way, it's a quality Matt always found strikingly beautiful about him, like it made him something ethereal. He notices Matt jerking a bit in surprise. "Your turn now? I told you not to chug all the water." Matt lets out a playful hum. "Well, that's what I said to Clara." Travis looks at him smugly. "Oh? And why are you actually following me out here?" Matt gets closer to the owl, resting his hands on the other man's hips. I think you might have an idea. Matt presses against Travis, pulling him closer and kissing the feathers of his neck. He feels the owl relax a little in his arms. You know it takes only 2 seconds to piss. They're gonna know that we're messing around like teenagers over here. He lets his paws wander under Travis's shirt, feeling the softness of the feathers stretch along his abdomen. Matt always loved the feel of them, like his own soft belly fur. Travis gasps a little under his touch, and it eggs the cougar on further, pressing his muzzle deeper against his neck. Matt lets his paws move further up his shirt, darting to reach up towards his chest. He starts to massage the soft skin there when Travis suddenly grabs his wrists and pushes him away. For fuck's sake. His voice is sharp now, and he readjusts his clothes with stiff, frustrated movements. Matt raises his paws up in surrender, creating obvious distance between the two of them. His stomach drops at the change in his boyfriend, the organ weighed by an anchor of guilt. I hate it when you do this. You hate it when I kiss you? No, not... He lets out a frustrated sigh. You know exactly what I fucking mean, Matt. Whenever you think that I'm mad at you, and so you try to... I don't know. You do this. What are you talking about? You know exactly what I mean. You try to... I don't know, you try to make it up with me. You're scared that I'm mad at you, so you're trying to make it go away. Well, are you mad at me? Travis crosses his arms, not meeting Matt's eyes. Let's just go back. No, wait. I didn't know that you were mad, so now I want to know why. Because I can clearly see now that you're mad at me. Travis glares at him, waiting for him to figure it out. Matt loves him, but he hates when he does this, when he doesn't say what's on his mind, expecting Matt to piece it together. Is it because of the threesome comment? Travis doesn't say anything, and Matt laughs in disbelief. That's not fair, and you know it. I'm not even the one who said it. Yeah, well, maybe if you weren't blatantly flirting, you wouldn't have said that. Oh, right, because I want to blatantly flirt with a stray guy in front of my boyfriend and his fiancée. I don't know, Maddie. Apparently you do. Travis's voice reaches a pitch when that shatters them from their bubble of their argument. The forest is deathly silent in the wake following their argument, and Matt realizes how loud that they must have become. They're a ways into the forest, the trail not visible behind them, but they're definitely not far from Liam and Clara for them not to have heard anything. Matt can't even begin to imagine walking back to them now. He wants to crawl into the forest floor and never emerge again. Travis sighs and pushes past the cougar, his shoulders roughly brushing Matt's. Wait, Travis! Just get this fucking stupid hike over with. His voice is low now, and there is a familiar tremor in his voice. Matt recognizes it from other arguments, ones that ended with Travis in tears. Matt follows a few feet behind him, still feeling a storm of arguments welling up inside of him. He wants to unleash it all, to have the final say. To furiously correct Travis that he would never flirt with anyone but him. To tell Travis that maybe he shouldn't be so insecure about their relationship, and to loosen up. Travis always moped whenever Clara, Liam, and Matt went out together, and so he invited him along this time. Though it was really all Clara's idea originally, wasn't it? An idea that she thought of when Matt had been venting to her before, her solution to their disparity. And look how well it turned out for them. He loves Travis, he really does, and he wants to make this work. But sometimes, like in the aftermath of this argument, he wonders if Travis secretly doesn't. That he blows up about these small things because he wants the relationship to implode. He doesn't have to dwell on the thought much longer as he watches Travis's determined stride slow down. The owl looks around, slowing to a stop. The path was right here, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. We didn't go that far from the trail. They walk forward a bit more, moving uncertainly. Matt watches the back of the owl's head as he leads the way. He can't see Travis's face, but he gets the sense that his anger has shifted instead to a growing worry, a panic. This is worse than him being mad at Matt. And as Matt looks around, he can't help but feel a worry festering inside of his stomach too. Something isn't right here, and he can't quite explain it. Clara, Liam, and him had hiked this part of the trail for years. Maybe they didn't go as regular as other obsessive hikers, and they had always stayed on the trail, but they definitely had gone often enough to know their way. To know the familiar paths, trees, and clearings. But oddly enough, everything suddenly looks unfamiliar, as if the two of them had been dropped in the middle of nowhere. A dread starts to worm its way into his gut, and he tries not to immediately think of all the horrors, stories that he'd grown up hearing of hikers getting lost along the trail. There are far too many ways for Mother Nature to rear her head, to show you not to underestimate her. And there's worse too. The hours spent idly listening to true crime podcasts, while doing dishes or playing video games play back in his mind. The murderers and rapists, or gruesome combinations of both, hiding along the trail and off the beaten path, waiting for unsuspecting lost hikers just like them. If anything like that had happened here, if he'd unsuspectingly invited Travis right into the arms of danger. Matt! Travis turns to him suddenly, stopping him with a talon resting on his arm. You good? Yeah, I'm fine. Travis's eyes are no longer hard with anger, and instead replaced with a softened concern. He must be sharing the same line of thoughts as Matt. Maybe you should lead the way. I think I'm getting us lost. Matt nods, swallowing. He doesn't want to admit to him that he thinks that they're already lost. Worse than lost. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I should have said something. It's just... It's fine. I'm the one who... He makes a vague gestures with his arms, searching for words. Exploded and stormed off, so... The pressure between them slackens at the admission. I don't like fighting like that. I know maybe sometimes it feels like I do when I get like that, but... He lets out a sigh, which comes out sort of like a whistle from his beak. It's a trait Matt always found cute about him. We can talk about it when we get home, if you want. Like a real talk, not an argument. Matt takes his talon in his paw, and he gives Travis a squeeze back. I'm sorry too, babe. He wants to go on and tell Travis that he hates it when they fight like this too. That a part of him knows the outburst comes not just from being mad at Matt, but mad at something deeper. Travis has only shared bits and pieces about himself, but it's enough for Matt to know that there's more that he doesn't still fully understand about the owl. That he wants to tell the owl that he wants to understand, that he loves him and wants to grow with him through this. That, to do that, Travis just needs to let him in, all the way in. But instead of all that, Matt says something different. You're right. Let's just get home first. Travis gives Matt a smile, and they walk forward through the uneven underbrush, his talons still on his paw. Travis doesn't share it then, merely grateful for the relief and pressure between them. He feels something he can't quite place about this forest. But for now, he shakes it off as his own unfamiliarity with the area. Matt seems to know where to go, and that's all that matters for now. Liam thumbs away at his phone, trying to wring out something that he can from the little signal that he gets out on the trail. Every once in a while, Liam takes a swig of his water bottle, his gulps audible. Claire keeps fidgeting with the label of her own water bottle, creating small, even patterns with the creases and tears. There is a trace of guilt worming at her mind for how awkwardly things have gone so far. She had been the one to orchestrate this whole thing. She had listened to Matt worry over their relationship, about how guilty he felt leaving Travis out of their outings. You don't have to do everything together. Liam and I don't, and we're getting married. It's not that. It's just... I don't know. You guys are important to me. I think we both want our important things to all fit together and get along, you know? She had laughed at his naivete, sprawled out on the couch together, her legs draped over his. I think we all want that. She likes Travis too, genuinely. She wants to spend more time with him, to get to know him, to see him loosen up. Maybe they should have stayed in with drinks. She doesn't want to feel responsible for helping Matt find the perfect relationship, but she can't help it. He's her best friend, and she wants good things for him. He had congratulated her so excitedly when she announced her engagement with Liam to him, wrapping her up in big soft arms. But when he pulled away, she could sense something held back behind his smile. A shared loneliness, a fear of being left behind. And though she didn't want to read too much into it, she wanted Matt to sort out his relationship issues on his own. She had a feeling that he wasn't sure if Travis and him would make it that far. She had hoped that this outing would help put things back on the right path, but she could still sense the tension between the two. She imagined Liam's threesome joke didn't help much either. She loved him dearly, but sometimes he'd become too familiar too fast for some people. Clara looks up from her water bottle and glances around. Hey, babe. Hmm? He looks up from his phone, the clacking of his hooves along with the screen coming to a halt. How long do you think that they've been gone? Oh, I don't know. 5, 10 minutes? It feels longer than that. She checks her own phone for the time. She couldn't remember when exactly they left, but she's sure that it's been more than 15 minutes at least. They've been gone a while. Have they? Clara gives him a look, one that says, maybe if you weren't on your phone you'd have noticed sooner, and Liam looks a bit sheepish. Are you even getting any signal out here? It's not an insincere question in spite of her judgmental look, only genuine curiosity. Liam shrugs. It comes and goes, but not really. Not enough to post pictures of our hike yet, but just enough to load emails. She laughs. And what would we do without the beloved emails? Liam laughs and looks down at his phone screen again. He idly thumbs at it a little more, though she can tell that he's not doing anything more than hopelessly opening and closing and reloading different apps. She wants to remind him that it'll just drain his battery, but she thinks better of it. It has been a while, but I guess... I'm guessing that they're not just taking a piss then. Well, yeah. I thought of that, of course, but... It's the very first thought Clara had thought of, but something about it doesn't feel quite right. You don't feel like they've been... weird? What do you mean? I don't know. Like maybe that they were fighting before the hike or something? They feel tense. I didn't pick up on it. Well, the threesome comment definitely didn't help. Liam's face flushes under the fur. Oh god, does he think... He knows I'm straight, right? Like, if I were to do any guy, it would be mad, but... That's just how we sort of always joke around. She sighs and takes his paw in her hand. It's alright, babe. I don't think he seriously thinks that you two are having an affair. I think they're just not doing great, so they're just, you know... Yeah. He rubs his thumb over the back of her paw. In my opinion, I think Travis needs to relax. You're a perfectly good boy. She gives him a wiry smile. And I thought that it was funny. A smile cracks on his lips then. Ray's voices distract them, and they both turn to look into the forest. She can't figure out what they're saying, but she can recognize the voices. I hope that this isn't my fault. Babe, you know that they've been having problems. They stand there facing the forest, paw in paw. She strains to pick out the distant words of the argument, trying her best not to visibly adjust her eyes. She doesn't want to look too nosy. Then the argument fades away. She stands for a moment longer, and she waits to see them resurface from the trail. But the brush stays still, and nothing emerges. Then she gets that first sinking feeling, the feeling that there's something truly wrong. Something wrong in a way that she doesn't quite understand, and doesn't know how to voice. Should we go check on them? Liam gives her an uncomfortable look. Right after that? Well, yeah. We've been waiting for forever now, I think. She takes a deep breath, deciding. I'm gonna go check on them at least. Babe, wait. Liam reaches over to pick up Matt's backpack, holding it in one paw. Let's go together. I don't want you getting lost, baby. Clara rolls her eyes at his concern, though her smile betrays her gratitude. She picks up Travis's backpack, grateful that he travels light. If we walk in on them having make-up sex in the woods, that's on you. He says it with a playful smile, and she smiles back. She wonders briefly if he notices something strange too. If he's also having difficulty admitting something is wrong with the forest. That the familiar path is suddenly feeling unfamiliar to him too. But Clara doesn't ask about that. Instead, she leads the way back off the path, Liam close to her side, and the two of them follow where the cougar and the owl disappeared into what feels like a very long time ago now. Matt and Travis walk in relative silence, though at least it is a little easier now. I feel like we should be there by now. I think we're almost there. We've been almost there for a while now. His voice sounds tight with worry. Matt, are we lost? Matt pauses, and he knows that it's a pause that lingers too long. Fucking Christ, we're lost. I think if we keep walking... Travis ignores him and pulls out his phone. Hold on, I think I have a signal. Matt watches as he types away at his screen, his claw swiftly clicking across the screen. Travis pauses, intently watching the screen. And then he stabs at it with his thumb every few seconds. It's not sending. Travis jams his thumb on his phone screen, this time with more force. Maybe my phone? Travis makes an approving sound, but doesn't look up from his phone. Matt takes a few steps away as he types, angling the phone away just slightly so that if Travis glances over, he doesn't easily read his words. But it's the same result. Matt stares at the error message at an unsent text, his words stuck in limbo. Hey, I think we got lost. What should we do? Travis is kind of freaking out. Fuck it, I'm just gonna call. His voice startles Matt, and he locks and pockets his phone in one swift motion. Travis sighs and brings the phone up to his ear. Matt rocks on his heels nervously, his hands on his hips. He doesn't have to be close to recognize the polite, robotic tone of the call failure message. He tries a few more times, and with each failure, Matt can tell that it's making him more and more tense. This is why I don't like hiking. He hisses the words under his breath to himself. This stings. It feels stupid, but it does. Matt wants to remind Travis that he didn't have to come, that he was only invited along because he would be moping alone at home if he hadn't. But Matt knows that this isn't true either. He wanted Travis here, and he was looking forward to it the moment that his plans were made. He loves his owl, and while he can't include him in every aspect of his life, he wants him to be there in as much of it as he can. And more importantly, he wants his two worlds, his close friends and his boyfriend, to mesh together. He was hoping that this hike would be the beginning of that, from friendly acquaintances to establishing Travis as something more permanent in his life. That they would walk happily along the trail, and even if Travis moaned the whole trip, complaining that he wasn't built for it, that the four of them would become closer. That Travis would become a stable presence in his life. Matt sees Travis tense and afraid, and wonders if this hike had meant something completely different to the owl. Had he been dreading this hike from the very start? Why hadn't he said more? Or better yet, why hadn't Matt noticed? Why had he let himself get swept up in the excitement and ignore what Travis wanted? Why didn't he ask more questions, read more secret signs? Matt smiles slightly and hopes that it reassures the owl. Well, we can always try the old-fashioned way. Matt isn't entirely eager to do this, and he gets visions of the wrong sorts of people hearing him instead of Clara and Liam. He reminds himself that it's still broad daylight, takes a deep breath, and cups his palms over his mouth before calling out. Clara! Liam! Guys! You guys there? Travis looks uncomfortable around the forest, his arms crossed. Clara! Liam! Still looking a bit uneasy, Travis brings his talons to cup over his beak and joins the call. Guys! Where are you guys? No response to either of them. Matt can see Travis turning his head this way and that, listening carefully for a response. He doesn't turn his head in full rotations like Matt knows the owl can. It's something Travis has always been a little self-conscious of. He shared bits and pieces of his childhood with Matt about being bullied for his natural ability. So he never turns his head any more than most other people can, a trained habit. It was also a sign that Travis was more comfortable with Matt when at home in their apartment. Travis let himself turn his head fully to face things or pick out certain sounds. Matt admits that this startled him at first, finding his boyfriend in the kitchen, his body facing the coffee pot but his head turning effortlessly to face a sleepy Matt, asking if he'd like a cup of coffee made as well. But Matt never let Travis feel ashamed for this, and so in the privacy of their apartment, Travis became more at home in his natural body. But he must be tense now if he's holding himself back. Travis doesn't hear anything as much as he strains to pick up any voice. But there is something. Not quite a response, but an unspoken shift. It's something like the shift that he felt earlier, when he felt the forest change around him without even noticing. But instead of the forest changing around him, there is a tug in his chest. Like something is pointing him in the right direction. He's reluctant to follow this instinct. After all, he's never been here before. How would he know? But there is some part of him that knows. The same way that he knows Matt and all his habits. The same way that he had known that this whole hike was a mistake waiting to happen. The way that he knows that this relationship, like all other relationships, is a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. The way that he knows when to self-destruct. His friendships, his relationships, his career, everything. This too must be a similar kind of knowing. At first, he had thought that it was simply anxiety, an anxiety about their relationship, about the trajectory of it, the way he's afraid it's catapulting into a downward spiral. The way all his relationships inevitably crash and burn beneath him. But maybe this anxiety, this knowing, was about something deeper. And it gets this feeling as he lifts his foot, letting the knowing draw him deeper into the forest. You see something, babe? Travis blinks, then shakes his head. I'm not sure. This just feels wrong. Matt is relieved when Travis mentions it. He doesn't want to acknowledge it himself, though. The cougar gets the strange feeling that if he admits something is off, then it becomes truly, completely off. So long as he doesn't acknowledge it, it's not happening. If he admits that the forest looks more and more foreign the more they walk, then it becomes a reality. Matt isn't sure that he's ready to handle that. For now, it's just an odd feeling that he's keeping to himself. And besides, he's the one keeping Travis together. If he lets it become a reality, he knows Travis is going to lose his shit. Instead, Matt needs for them both to stay calm. He's going to figure this out on his own. He returns his paw around Travis's talon and begins guiding them forward again. I think we just wandered around off the path too much. We always stick to the trails. And well, we got a little distracted. Normally when Matt refers to them getting distracted, it's for more exciting reasons. Travis hates that it's for something much worse this time. The owl wonders if it's his fault that they're lost now. He was the one who started the fight. He was the one who dragged his feet on the way here, making jokes about how much he hates hiking and the outdoors, ones that reflected his true feelings. He's the one who's reading into things too much, who is too awkward to fit into Matt's perfect group dynamic. He's the one who can't take a stupid joke. He doesn't even know why it bothered him so much, looking back at it. He knows that they're not fucking. He knows that Matt would never do that, no matter how terrible Travis felt that he was to him sometimes. He should have just dropped it. Travis casually jokes with his friends about fucking each other all the time, and his friends aren't even straight. And Matt never bats an eye. Travis can feel his talons getting sweaty, and he wonders if Matt can feel it in his paw. He must be able to, because whenever Travis's palms get sweaty, when they're holding hands, it makes Matt's fur stick to him uncomfortably. But Matt doesn't seem to be bothered, and he doesn't let go. Matt's expression worries him. It's not a face that he's seen him wear often, but he knows it. It's the one that he often makes when he doesn't want to admit to something, because by not admitting it, Matt thinks that he's some hero. That he's protecting Travis from something he doesn't want to know, or that Matt thinks that he can't handle. He's about to ask about it, but he finds that he doesn't have to. Babe, does this feel weird to you at all? They both stop walking and Travis turns to face him, letting go of his paw. Matt isn't looking at him. His eyes are darting around the forest, squinting like he's trying to make out something fuzzy. Well, I mean, we're lost. And I feel like we've been walking in circles. Me too. Look, I'm sorry. No, it's fine. Let's just try again. Try what? Walking around in circles? Matt bites his lip thoughtfully, eyes still scanning the forest. I think we should stay here. And that'll help because... Matt frowns at him. He can tell from Matt's face that his words came out harsher than he meant. He needs to stop doing that. This is how everything always becomes a fight. He pauses, softening his tone. I mean, like, genuinely curious. I don't get lost in the forest a whole lot. It's what we should have done from the start. Stay put and yell for help. Travis almost makes a biting comment about Matt learning that from summer camp, but he holds back. Matt sits down on the ground with a grunt, his back pressing against the trunk of a tree. He pats the ground next to him. Come on, babe. Travis shifts uncomfortably on his feet. The thought of sitting and waiting for someone to find them as they cry for help makes his skin crawl. The forest feels too vast, too empty for anyone to actually hear them. Just the two of them curled up against a tree, futilely crying out where one can't hear them as the night creeps up on them and the forest gets colder. I think we should keep moving. We don't even have our backpacks. So if we're stuck out here... We're not stuck out here, and we're just gonna get more lost if we do that, and get further from the trail. Because I mean, I can't see it anywhere or anything that I recognize near it. And you? Travis doesn't want to reply. Matt sighs. It's weird, but I promise it works. We've probably been gone long enough for Clara and Liam to go grab a ranger. And I mean, it's their job to find lost people. Right? Matt waits for a response, but Travis doesn't give one. Travis realizes that he doesn't have to, because he gets that feeling again. And this time, he doesn't shake it off. He latches onto it and lets it take hold of him. I think I know where to go. A chill runs down Matt's spine. There is a weird tone in Travis's voice, one that he's never heard before. For a moment, Matt thinks that he's fucking with him. He hopes that he's fucking with him. But before he knows it, Travis turns and wanders into the forest, away from Matt. Matt stumbles back to his feet as quickly as he can, spiting himself for moving so clumsily. Even though Travis's movements are dreamlike, he walks quickly, weaving through the trees and underbrush with the ease of someone who knows his surroundings intimately. Matt thinks that he's just about to catch up to reach out for Travis's talon when the owl takes a sharp turn around the trunk of a tree. Travis disappears out of view and Matt follows after him desperately. But when he does, he doesn't see Travis around the bend. He just sees trees. He sees miles of trees in all directions, becoming more and more unfamiliar with every moment. Matt? Travis? There's no response as she calls out their names, Liam trailing close behind her. They're still a short distance from the trail, still within her line of vision when she looks back over her shoulder. Where the fuck are they? I don't know. If they were fooling around, I probably would have gone further in too. Probably. Unless Matt has some voyeuristic tendencies that he hasn't shared with us. He smirks and Clara knows that he's trying to keep things light for her sake. She gives him a small, grateful smile back. Clara tries to tell herself that he's right, that the two of them wandered further than expected, and any moment they may stumble upon the couple necking. She would be mad at them for worrying her, but only for a moment because Matt's easy nature would help her laugh it off. Any minute now, they'll find him. I just think that it's weird that they're not responding. It is. There is a dread that is slowly rising in her, an offness about the situation that she can't deny. But she also rationalizes that she would have heard if something happened to them. Those two aren't stupid enough to get lost that easy, are they? She lets out a deep sigh, aware of Liam's eyes on her. They both hesitate for a moment, staring into the depths of the forest. She gets this odd feeling in her gut as she looks into it, as if there's some force in those trees trying to repel her, trying to keep her back. She's not sure if it's her gut instinct telling her not to get lost, or if it's a real tangible force, some sort of dormant spirit lying further in the trees. A molten, toxic thing pushing her away. In spite of the feeling, Clara takes a step forward and calls out Matt and Travis's names again. Liam follows close behind, calling out their names as well. Travis lost track of Matt's voice a while ago. It had shifted into a foggy nothingness behind him, as if he was hearing his voice from underwater or from several rooms away. Travis didn't have to look over his shoulder to know that the cougar was no longer behind him. He knows that he shouldn't be worried, but he's not. There is an odd lightness that overtakes him, a floaty feeling. It reminds him of the same high that he'd heard his sister describe during the height of her eating disorder. Curled up on her bed, her knees drawn to her chest, her gauntness visible even under her dowy feathers. A big blanket cocooned around her, her constant companion because she was always so cold. She had confessed to him in guilty whispers how it would be awful, grueling at first. Having to resist the nature, animal desire to eat, how it clawed at her from the inside out. But once she was past it, she would reach that high, and a lightness would take her over. She liked what starving did to her body. She liked seeing it push to her limits. She admitted these things so casually, in a way that chilled Travis to his core. She liked that her body became enviable to a startling large portion of society, and that she possessed the godlike gift of being able to resist natural needs that most could not, to degrees that they could not fathom. But she loved that dreamlike high that it gave her most of all. That it made her untouchable, invincible. And that's how he feels right now. Beyond all mortal danger or needs, separate from the world. He imagines that it's close to how she felt too. He continues walking, and memories of the past dredge up other long untouched thoughts in his mind too. He loves Matt, he really does, but he knows that this isn't going to last. It never does. Maybe that's why he's wandering around the forest without direction. He's done this song and dance before. He knows what he'll face when he returns. Whenever he's lucky to find someone like Matt, someone normal and stable, they eventually see him for what he really is. He's too sappy, too irritable, telling too much about the wrong things, not opening up enough about the right ones. He's always too much and never enough. The little behaviors eventually dig up under their skin, and they don't want him anymore. Nowadays, Travis tries to expedite the process, to do everything in his power to push his lovers away. Starting arguments over things that he deep down knows are nothing, avoiding texts and calls, disappearing and reappearing and pretending like nothing happened. He's learned all the tricks, the myriad of self-destruct buttons to make someone leave for good. He doesn't do it consciously, but he's learned his pattern by now. He's learned to recognize the warning signs, but always too late. Something tells him that this will always be with him. That even though he loves Matt, he knows that he can't unlearn all these habits and fears. Try as he can to fight them, they always come back. He'll always be uncomfortable in safety, and he'll always search for ways to escape it. There is a comfort in the known, even if that known is something that hurts you. Travis knows that this little outing going wrong is exactly what will make everything fall apart. The two of them will drive home in silence and Matt will say it. He'll say it in the car or in their apartment after they walk in, after hanging up their keys. Or he'll crumple up at dinner, his face in his paws, voice trembling. I can't do this anymore. I think we need to break up. Travis rubs at his eyes and realizes that he's crying. Fuck, not now. He stops walking, rubbing at his eyes, hoping that it'll grind the tears back into their ducts. Fuck. He stands there, rubbing away his tears, the feathers on his cheeks damp. Come on, Travis. Pull it together. Just as quickly as that trance-like state had come over him, it disappears. It leaves quickly, sucking all the warmth out of his chest, leaving an awful chill in his wake. And he realizes that he's alone. He looks around, rotating his head fully, not caring about social norms anymore. It's something others have always found silly or creepy, being able to rotate his head in nearly a full circle. But that hardly matters to him as he looks about quickly, grateful for this ability as he tries to spot any scrap of familiarity. The forest looms back at him, cartoonishly unfamiliar. He's never hiked this trail, he hardly ever hikes in general, but he knows that where he is isn't even a part of the forest that they'd been in. The horizon goes on for miles in all directions, rows of perfectly straight trees as far as the eye can see. Hadn't he been here walking on uneven ground? How long had he been walking for? He rests a talon against a nearby tree, noticing in horror how starkly white the trunk is. The natural illusion of eyes all along the trunks adds to the level of unease, the unfamiliarity. These are not the same trees that were surrounding him only moments ago. He looks up again and speaks, his voice weak in his throat from crying. Matt? He says his boyfriend's name carefully, afraid that something other than Matt will hear him. He'd been warned about the pharaohs prowling the forests. Or worse, about the serial killers from Matt's podcasts. Travis hugs his arms to his chest, looking about in all directions. Matt? Are you there? Nothing. For a moment, he's not sure if he's heard right. He wonders if it's a tree settling or something small moving. Something that he mistook for a footstep because he's so on edge right now, his heart is thumping in his chest. But it's too heavy, too deliberate. But then he hears it again. His feathers stand on end, and he doesn't move. He wants so badly to turn his head to see the source of the noise, but he doesn't. He stands perfectly still. Slowly, in a movement that feels like it takes ages, Travis turns his head towards the direction of the noise. He hopes that the slowness of his movement is imperceptible to whatever is behind him. Every second he turns is like exposing himself to a predator, an opportunity for something to catch him in their sights. He becomes abnormally aware of every inch of his body, of every possibility of movement or sound that could escape him. He is afraid that he'll lose control of his breathing, that he'll take an involuntary shuddering breath. One that will be loud, impossible not to hear. That it will make his body jerk as it escapes his lungs and give him away. His head makes the full rotation and he looks behind him. But there is nothing behind him, only trees. Travis? Clara? Liam? Matt looks around. At this point, he doesn't expect a response, and his calls are a rote chore now. Cry out, because there is nothing else left to do but wander and cry for help. Anyone? No one. But then he sees someone. It's a lone figure facing away from him. He's standing completely still. It takes a minute for Matt to recognize him. Travis? Oh, thank God. But Travis doesn't move at the sound of his name being called. It's like he didn't hear him at all. Travis? He lowers his voice, like talking to a wounded creature. There is something wrong here, and he can't place it. All he wants is to get Travis and find the trail again. He takes a few careful steps forward. Travis rarely turns his head fully around. It made Matt uneasy the first few times that he saw him do it. It had been early in the morning. Travis's body was turned towards the coffee pot, but his face looked directly at Matt, his neck twisted completely around. Travis nonchalantly asked if he wanted to make him a cup of coffee too. The vision of his boyfriend's head twisted completely around in an angle unnatural to him was enough to wake Matt up from that morning, though he hadn't said that. After that, Travis only ever rotated it around like that in the privacy of their apartment, never out in public. Matt tried not to let that uneasiness get the best of him, hoping Travis never noticed it. If Travis did, he never mentioned it, in spite of all their recent arguments. He knows that it was something Travis was self-conscious of, even if he never spoke it out loud. Matt picks up on it just by watching the way the owl carried himself, how the movements of his neck always felt restricted, closely monitored by the force of habit instilled in him as a child. Eventually, it became something normal for Matt, and he forgot about it as something that was once unsettled by. He knew that it was a sign Travis was growing comfortable around him, that he was unrestrained and let himself be in a natural, vulnerable state. But that was not the feeling Matt gets now when Travis rotates his head to face him. It's a sudden jerking movement, one that makes Matt startle. The owl stares directly at him, but his eyes look straight through him. They're hollow, almost feral. Matt's mouth becomes dry, and he can't find the words to say. There comes a loud noise, like something rushing towards him, a tidal wave of sound. And Matt jolts awake. He startles to life, his heart thundering in his chest. He forgets where he is for a moment, confused about the branches overhead, the surrounding trees, the rough bark his back rests against. Then he remembers the hike and the wandering, getting more and more lost. He remembers losing sight of Travis. He rubs his eyes with his paws. How did he fall asleep during all this? He started to wonder if this is some strange dream, if he's still not fully awake yet, if he's on the brink of waking from yet another dream. Maybe Clara slipped something into his water for kicks. Maybe he's still resting by the trail, and he's kicking and screaming and running around like a madman, scaring the shit out of his friends. She wouldn't do that, though. There's a terrifying realness to the situation, one that he doesn't want to admit to. It's been in the back of his mind since they first started to return back to the trail, clogging up his throat with words that he almost wants to say, but always resists. He hadn't wanted to escalate things, but now he's here. He doesn't know what to do next or where to go at this point. He bunches the fabrics of his shirt up in his paws, pressing his muzzle into it, and lets out a muffled scream. The scream reverberates throughout his body, every fiber of his body unleashing itself into the guttural noise. His shirt only barely suppresses the noise down to a softened scream. He pulls his shirt away from his muzzle and inhales deeply, sitting with his face in his paws now. It doesn't make him feel a bit better. Okay. It takes a few more deep breaths before they start to slowly even out. He has to admit it, even if it's just to himself. He has to admit that he's lost, or he can never get out of here. Matt is lost. Travis is lost. Now he just needs to figure out how to get out of here. Maybe he's been wandering in circles this whole time. No, he's definitely been wandering in circles. He rises to his feet, dusting the dirt off of his butt of his pants. He takes off his shirt, grimacing at the sweat stains. Then he reaches into his pocket, nudging his way around to fish out his keys. He finds his Swiss Army knife keychain on the crowded keyring. It's something Liam had given him, a gift of encouragement to go camping together at some point. He's always been the most outdoorsy one. He's the one who got Matt into hiking in the first place. At the time, he joked that it'd never see any use. You never know, Liam had said with a smirk. He'd been right. Carefully, he uses a knife to make a small tear into the fabric. From there, it isn't hard for him to begin tearing thin strips of fabric from the shirt. It tears unevenly, but it works for its purpose. He's grateful he wore a bright color today that'll be easier to spot. He turns to a tree closer to him and wraps a strip around one of the lower branches. He continues in a straight line, marking another tree branch every few paces or so, leaving a trail of bright red scraps of fabric in his wake. And with each new tree he marks, he pauses and calls out their names, again louder, with more certainty. There's a figure in the forest. It takes a moment for Travis to register it, not because it's well hidden, but because it doesn't make any sense. A flash of bright, clean white draws Travis's attention to it. A lean cat stands in the middle of the forest, dressed in business casual attire. His posture perfect and his arms at his sides, staring straight ahead. And he is facing Travis's direction. Their eyes meet and Travis stops. The cat smiles. Neither move, simply staring across the distance at each other. The stranger makes no move to wave or any sort of greeting. He simply stands, meets Travis's eyes, and smiles, his only acknowledgement of Travis's presence. He's not sure what to make of the figure, so cleanly dressed, a sterile thing in the middle of nature. Travis wonders if he's dreaming, but something about this doesn't feel quite like a dream. He could be hallucinating from the stress. He's never hallucinated before, so he's not quite sure what it should look or feel like. He approaches the stranger slowly. As he moves, the stranger remains still, his arms at his side. The stranger's smile remains perfectly in place, and his eyes follow Travis. At a closer distance, Travis gets the sense that this man is very much real. Every detail of him feels too crisp, too sharp to be a dream or a hallucination. There must be some third thing to call this encounter, some sort of logic to explain this. Hello there. The man's cadence is gentle and polite, but emotionally distant, like that of a salesperson or a call representative. I hope that I didn't startle you. Travis stares at him, unsure of what to say to this sudden apparition. Travis, I presume? At this point, Travis is fairly certain that he's disconnected from reality. How else would this stranger know his name? Why else would he be here? Travis contemplates turning and running from all of this, but he is not sure if he can. This forest isn't the forest that he was in before, and a part of him knows that this is what he was drawn to, what he was meant to find. Yes? The stranger's smile brightens. Perfect. I thought that it was you. Travis nods. I can't help but notice that you're lost. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I am. No worries, I'm here to help. Are you a park ranger or something? The question feels stupid as it falls out of his mouth, but he can't think of anything else to ask. The stranger laughs. I'm not, but I'm here to help. Travis merely nods again. He's not sure how to navigate this conversation. I can show you the way out. There are several ways to take. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do. But I got... well... He laughs nervously. Lost. Lost and even more lost, I think. I don't even know where this is in the park. He is aware that the words are coming out manic, in a tumble of confusion, but he can't stop them. I'm trying to get back to my friends. My friend Matt is lost out here too, I think. He's not sure why he gives Matt's name so readily. A part of him wonders if it's so that he doesn't hear that stranger guess at first. The stranger smiles and nods. Well, shall we? He doesn't ask anything else, merely leads the way with a polite gesture, indicating for Travis to follow. Liam is the first to see it. A strip of red cloth is tied around a low-hanging tree branch. He brushes his paw over it, noticing how pristine it is, like it was put there not too long ago. Hey babe, wasn't Matt wearing a red t-shirt? At the mention of Matt's name, Clara hurries over to Liam's side. She furrows her brows as she looks at the cloth. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was. She looks about, then gestures in the distance. There's another one over there, too. So Matt and Travis are leaving a trail? Liam can see Clara's expression drop. So they're lost. Or they think that they're lost. Same difference. She says it bitterly, then looks at him with an apologetic, puppy dog eyes. Sorry, it's just... You're fine, babe. I'm worried too. They both look at the strips of fabric and Liam knows that she's torn on what to do to. Should we head back to the trail and get the ranger? Clara chews on her lower lip and he already knows her answer. Well, like you said, they think that they're lost. That doesn't mean that they're actually lost. So if we just follow this, it should be fine, right? Maybe, yeah. Clara walks to the second strip of cloth, Liam at her side. They look around to see if there's a third. Sure enough, there is another one in the distance, just within sight. They head over to the third marked tree and look around for the next. Liam finds himself looking more at Clara, watching her panic focus. Hey babe, I'm getting a bad feeling about this. I don't want you getting hurt or anything. The shift in Clara's expression makes him immediately regret his words. Do you think that they're hurt? If Matt is ripping up his shirt and leaving a Hansel and Gretel trail, well, it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. No, it doesn't. Clara suddenly marches forward, and Liam sees that she's found the next strip of cloth. He follows her. If things start feeling too weird, we should get a park ranger. They'll know what to do. Well, we have a path to follow back, so we'll be fine. Clara's expression becomes focused, and Liam knows that she's relieved to have an actionable task at hand. Follow the flags, find Mark and Travis, follow them back. She's always liked having a plan. It reminds him of one of their dates, one that went disastrously. It had actually been their first Valentine's Day together. Just about everything seemed to go wrong. She had insisted on booking a reservation at a restaurant that she wanted to surprise him with. It wasn't anything too fancy, no white tablecloths or menu testing the limits of their budget. But it was a nice, popular spot, one that she knew that she needed to book in advance. They arrived only to discover that she'd mixed up the dates when booking it. She tensed up and pleaded for the restaurant to find them a table. She was probably one of the many in the sea of people hoping for a last-minute spot in the overbooked restaurant. She was close to making a scene, though. She'd deny any mention of that now. But Liam stepped in, resting his paw on her shoulder, and told her not to worry about it, that he'd got it figured out. They ended up driving to get food at a shitty little diner, the less popular location for couples on Valentine's Day. They looked out of place, all dressed up for a date, but Liam leaned into it. He pulled out the vinyl diner booth bolted to the ground, and she giggled into her paw. She thanked him, smiling as she bit into a subpar cheeseburger, and at that time, Liam didn't understand why. He knows now that it wasn't about the diner, or the restaurant she wanted to go to in the first place. It was just letting her know that something like that didn't ruin everything forever. And that when plans get thrown off, he'd be there to help guide her back on course, to help put things in balance. Clara stops suddenly. She looks back and forth from where they've come from to where they're going. Everything all right, babe? Yeah, I just would think that they would put them all in a straight line. Liam glances back and forth. Well, nature isn't perfect. It's probably the closest to a straight line that he could get. Maybe. But as Liam looks back at the path that they've come from, he notices some of the disarray in the trail Matt and Travis left behind. Should we head back? Grab a ranger? He lifts Matt's backpack slightly, gesturing with it. Backpack's not getting any heavy? No, it's not too heavy. Travis packs light. Way too light, probably. She takes his free paw in hers and squeezes it gently. Let's just see where this leads first, okay? I just want to know where this all goes. They're probably fine at the end of all this, and I don't want to make this bigger than it is. Liam smiles a weak smile, and they follow forward to the next strip of cloth. He has a feeling that the real reason that she wants to follow this path is the same as his. That if he turns back now, he'll regret it later. The cat moves with determined strides, as if he knows exactly where he is going, but undeterred by the monotony of his surroundings. The trees all look the same to Travis. They even feel spaced in an even perfect way, like streetlights in a vacant parking lot. The lights itself is unnatural too, as if not from the sun but from an office light. It messes with his brain, being in what is supposed to be such a natural place and feeling the artificial glow all around him. Do you know what this place is? It feels different from the rest of the woods. Forest. Huh? If these were woods, the area would be smaller, less dense. I would call this a forest. though technically there is no clear delineation between the two. Travis remains quiet. The in-between. Huh? That is what we call it, the in-between. Travis is quiet for a moment. There are plenty of odd landmark names within the forests. And why is that? Travis, how did you find your way here? A strange compulsion drives Travis to share everything about the last hour or so with the stranger, and he has to resist letting it all spill out. It grows difficult to control his words as he speaks, like trying to carefully pour water from a very full bucket and trying not to let it splash everywhere. Well, I got into an argument with a friend. Matt? For a moment it unsettles Travis that the stranger knows his name, but then he reminds himself that he had mentioned it earlier. He had, hadn't he? He isn't quite sure. Yeah, Matt. Well, we got distracted. We got into this fight and got lost somehow. I'm not sure how. I feel like it's my fault. Then there was this feeling. I don't know. Maybe I've been stressed out and I just... Found yourself here? Yeah, I guess so. The stranger nods. The forest does that sometimes. Could you describe this feeling? Travis is reminded of countless therapy and psychiatric sessions of being asked questions like this that feel too difficult to even begin to answer. Whatever words he could come up with, they always felt wrong. Words couldn't fully encompass what he felt. For some reason, this feeling, though impossible to accurately describe, has a word that immediately comes to Travis's mind that seems to do it some minor justice. It's less of a word to describe it and more like its title. It felt like knowing. The stranger nods, as if in perfect understanding. That is usually how one finds himself here. By knowing? In simple terms, yes. It's how I found myself here a long time ago. Travis blanches and goes quiet. The stranger laughs. I wasn't there long. It was my first time visiting, and now I come back here from time to time. Were you hiking today too? Travis looks him up and down. The outfit hardly seems suitable for a hike. It's impeccably clean as well, not even a speck of dirt or grime on it. I was not. It's how I found myself here in the first time, though just like you. Then how? The stranger looks to Travis with a smile, and Travis thinks he knows. Then this place is... In between. There are many ways to take to get in and out of here, like I said. The more they talk, the more Travis feels unlike himself. It's a lot like being in a dream, where the illogical nature of it suddenly becomes understood without a second thought. Perhaps that's what this knowing feeling is. Or perhaps it's the easiest way for his brain to accept the growing unreality of the situation without completely losing his mind. And what ways would those be? The stranger quickly turns around a tree, startling Travis with a sudden change of direction. Peering around the tree, he finds a small clearing, two tree stumps sitting neatly across from each other. The stranger is already sitting at one and motions for Travis to sit across from him. Please, have a seat. Travis sits, facing directly across from the stranger. While we rest, let me tell you a story. There was once a young man. He is what you might have called a real fuck-up. Lucky to have graduated high school, dead-end job, barely making enough money to get by. He had no friends, was estranged from his family, and always slept alone. It's not that he never had good things. It's not that he didn't have love or friendship or chances at greatness. It's that none of those things ever stayed. Everything he touched, he crushed in his palms. He didn't want to, but he always did. Everything good that happened to him, he had to destroy it, like a compulsion. It's a new year. He decided to make a New Year's resolution to get healthy. So he started hiking. On his hike, he got this feeling. You might be familiar with it. The stranger gives Travis a knowing smile. It felt like the forest was pulling him in, like something was calling to him. Like he knew that something was in there for him. He found the in-between place, and there he was given a choice. He could continue as he was, destroying his life forever, stuck in an endless cycle of his own creation, helpless to change himself. Or he could offer himself to the forest and the forest would resolve all of it for him. All he had to do was give himself over to it, to promise himself to it. The stranger stops and smiles pleasantly. He just stares at Travis and he realizes that he is expecting a reply. Travis clears his throat. And did he? He did. And I'm guessing you... The stranger smiles brightly. Yes, you're clever like I'd hoped. Everything changed after that day, in ways that I could not dream of. Travis is unsure of what to say. Why are you telling me this? Like I said, there are many ways to take to get out of the in-between. And one of those ways... Travis, how are things going in your life? How was your job? Do you see your friends often? Do you have many friends to begin with? Travis stares at him, unsure if he's supposed to answer, unsure if he even should. How are things with Matt? How much longer do you expect your relationship to last? A few more months, weeks, hours? Travis swallows, a nausea rising in him, his whole body becoming light again. Not like before, when he felt invincible, but like he's going to pass out. Words are far away from each other in his mind, and he struggles to put them together. So, if I do this offer or whatever, that's supposed to just fix everything? How? When I offered myself to the force, I accepted that I couldn't have what I wanted being me. I would always struggle. Things would always fall apart. It was my nature, my core, and I could not fight it. In a way, offering myself to the force was like being reborn. The me who left the in-between that day was not the same one who went in. The old me died, and the new me was born. And everything improved. Everything. It's a lot. Take your time. But this offer won't come again, I assure you. I can take you back, but without a tether to this place, you will not be able to return. But why me? The stranger smiles pitifully at him, and Travis feels like a small child under his gaze. Travis, look at yourself. You're the perfect candidate. They both sit in an uneasy quiet. The light from the trees is harsher somehow, and it makes Travis' sickness feel worse. The owl stares at the legs of the stranger's outfit, how neat and clean and well-tailored they are. He stares at the fabric and thinks, and hopes that time passing will put him out of this place, and that the waiting will decide for him. You're tempted, aren't you? Travis meets his gaze again. He won't admit it out loud, but he is. The idea of something else taking the wheel from him, letting him be a passenger of his own body. Letting something that knows better to have control of him. It isn't the first time that he's wanted to give it all up. The stranger's words are only like picking at a scab. It doesn't take much to make the old wounds new again, to make it bleed. It's all right. I can see it. Travis swallows, his mouth dry. How does it even work? The forest has its rituals. It requires a simple handshake. The stranger says it with so much sincerity and conviction that it's hard not to take him seriously. Even if Travis still has trouble finding all of the surreal, the cat believes it. And in some ways, that makes it all true to someone, doesn't it? The stranger pulls something from his pocket and pulls it across his palm with a clean, swift motion. Travis recognizes the glint of metal and the blood welling up in the cat's palms, and realizes it's a small knife. The stranger nods at Travis, indicating for him to offer his palm as well. This is real. Even if the forest offerings and the knowing and the in-between aren't real, even if this whole display changes nothing in their lives, the tension of this moment somehow grounds it into a part of reality. At the very least, it makes it something real to Travis. He can feel the discomfort riding painfully on his face, much as he tries to keep it contained. Are you worried about disease? Don't be. I promise that I am perfectly well. I'm sure that it's something that you can plainly see as well. It's true. The cat is in an enviable condition. Besides, I'm far more likely to catch something from you than you are from me, based on your sexual history. Travis grimaces at the comment, but says nothing. Are you having second thoughts? His mind is dizzy, trying to keep up with all of this. There is a strange pressure in him, like he's come this far and he has to keep going along with it. It's an uncomfortable feeling, but not an unfamiliar one. He's felt like this many times before. Walking out of a store with his pockets stuffed with things that don't belong to him, that he doesn't even need. A friend distracts the salesperson with inane questions. He's counting on Travis, so he has to follow through. Spewing vile words to a loner as his high school friends do the same, following the crowd because he'd rather be standing with them than where the loner is. The words he calls the loner are the same ones Travis will be called for the rest of his life, for all the same reasons. Sprawling naked across a bed, a myriad of different beds, of different strangers, the uncomfortable pit in his stomach as yet another nameless face uses his body in ways that he hates. He has to hand over his body if he's come this far. This time is no different than all those other times. Travis, when you go back, what will you have? You won't have anything. Or whatever you have, it won't last. And it's not the boyfriend you have, or the places you live in. It's not the job that you have, the hobbies you get into, the friends you fall in with. You can change all of these things, mix and match, and hope to God that some arrangement of them will fix you. But no matter what, no matter how perfect the puzzle fits together, you're always a part of it. And you're always the part that's wrong, that makes everything fall apart. You are built with a self-destruct button that you can never resist, a time bomb waiting for the next chance to explode. And no matter how much you love Matt, no matter how much you want to change, you will always be you. And you will destroy this too. The only way out of this cycle is to not be you. I figured that out a long time ago. Eventually, you will lose track of where I end and you begin. When a tree grows, it spreads out its roots and touches many other trees with it. They communicate this way, all linked to emerge, fruit, and shed their leaves together, all flourishing as a single forest. You can flourish too, Travis. Travis stares down at his open palm. He thinks of Matt. He thinks of his sleepy smile in the morning, the familiar softness of his body snuggling against him. He thinks of good morning and good night kisses, how he doesn't mind the terrible taste of his morning breath or the mint of toothpaste. He thinks of watching his expressions shift as he talks, of taking in his presence like a plant soaking up sunlight. He thinks of being able to hold on to something good, just this one time. He thinks of what it would take to never let it go. And he makes his choice. Matt finds himself having to tear thinner and thinner strips of fabric to make the shirt last longer. There is still plenty of forest ahead of him, and only so little shirt left. He stops and checks his trail again, still a straight line from here to the last few flags. At least he knows he's not going in circles. Instead, he worries that he's just getting deeper into the forest, further and further away from the trail. Further from Travis. What does he do if it gets dark and he gets stuck out here? And now he doesn't have his shirt. Nice thinking, Matt. He shivers at the thought of night coming, the cold seeping in while he's still stuck out here. He reaches up to mark another tree but stops as he spots something ahead. It's Travis. Matt gets a sense of deja vu. He hopes that he's dreaming again. He doesn't know what he'll do if he wakes up again. He speaks quietly, afraid that if his voice is too loud, he'll wake up from all of this. Travis? The owl's head turns slowly, his eyes meeting Matt's. Matt holds his breath. The owl blinks slowly, then blinks again. Matt? Then, as if suddenly realizing where he is, Travis turns to face Matt properly. Matt rushes forward and embraces him. He feels relieved to have him back in his arms, comforted by his familiar shape. The way his body perfectly melts into his embrace. Travis wraps his arms around him too, returning the hug and nuzzling his face into Matt's shoulder. Matt runs a paw over the back of the owl's head, relishing the feel of his soft feathers again. He's solid and warm and real, and he is here. Oh, so worried, babe. Me too. Please don't disappear like that again. I won't. His voice is soft, muffled into Matt's shoulder. So sorry. No, it's fine. I'm the one who... It's okay. I'm just glad you're safe. Let's try and get out of here. Even as Matt says this, he isn't sure what direction they should be going anymore. It will be alright though. He knows it. At least he's found Travis again. Travis pulls away from the embrace. He looks Matt up and down, as if taking him in for the first time. So, any reason you're shirtless? It was a guaranteed way to attract your attention. Travis laughs softly, though Matt can tell that he's still on edge. But at least he got him to smile. But really, why? Well, Wait. Travis's voice is stern and he is suddenly focused. Did you hear that? Matt twitches his ears, and for a moment all he hears is the sound of the forest. But then there it is. The sound of someone familiar. He's gotta run out of shirt eventually. Then what? Then hopefully they'll know to stay put. She puts her paw to the closest flag of red shirt and looks around for the next. It doesn't take long for her to notice something different, something familiar. The trees thin out, and before she knows it, they're back on the trail. This is... back to where they started. This is good, right? This means that they found their way back. I don't see them, though. Maybe we followed the wrong way? Liam leans back, looking down either direction of the trail. I don't see them either. They can't be that far off, though, right? Hopefully. Clara shifts her paw to her mouth and calls out their names again. Liam follows suit. Matt? Travis? Matt? Travis? We're over here! For a moment, it feels like another one of their futile efforts. But then, she suddenly hears something from behind her. She turns to see two figures stumble out of the forest. Matt? Clara drops the backpack in her hands, completely forgetting about it, and rushes forwards. She throws her arms around the cougar, knocking the wind out of him and pulling him into a tight hug. Her tail wags excitedly, and he wraps his big arms around her too. Liam trots up beside them. He jokes about Matt losing his shirt along the way, but he has a relieved smile on his face too. She's grateful to have Matt back, and to finally head home. Travis is grateful too. He can't help but linger on the thought that he was a catalyst for all of this. That if the three went alone, things would have gone differently. It would have been just another hike for them. He wants to share this worry with Matt, but he doesn't burden him with it, not now. They have a lot to talk about when they get back to their apartment. And he has a feeling that this time, unlike all the other times with all the other people that came before Matt, the conversation will not be the end of things for them. He will still crawl into bed with his boyfriend at night, as he will many nights afterwards. No self-destruct, no sudden departure, just resting in the loving arms of the one who helped Travis make a choice, even if he'd never known it. Travis looks down at his palm and rubs it with a thumb. He knows where he ends and where he begins, and he is reassured. So... I'm guessing that means that he decided to not form the pact? By the fact that he said he knows where he ends and where he begins? Because the cat had said that by the end, you will never notice where I begin and where you end. So he's basically saying that he is his own person. He's not this amalgamation of these people that apparently joined the pact in the forest. You could also see a sort of parallel between Liam and Clara and Travis and Matt, where Liam and Clara kind of seem to have like their little issues too, but at the end of the day, they were fine. They're the couple that works. They're the couple that, despite any little thing popping up, they're gonna work. They're gonna work through it. That they're gonna be okay. Whereas Travis and Matt at that point were sort of the couple that were hiding things from each other. They were always walking on eggshells, or more so Matt than Travis, in order to ensure that things didn't end badly for, the hell? What is this? Anyways, they were the couple on unsteady feet. And if the whole in-between thing is real, meaning that it was an actual thing that happened to Travis and not like a hallucination, then perhaps it sensed that sort of rocky foundation, more so for Travis, or for, I guess, for the both of them, that it did what it did in the forest. But yeah, like you could see like the little comparisons between the two of them as the story was progressing, where it's like, yeah, this also sort of applies to the other one, but this other couple did things differently. They're working through these things. They're okay. Like they still have like their little things, like Clara's saying, like these little things that do bother me, but like at the end of the day, they work out. Whereas Matt and Matt is keeping all these things bottled up in order to not cause a fight, and Travis is just wanting to start a fight in order to self-destruct the relationship. But at the end of it, I guess he realized that he has to change, I guess. Or hopefully he realized that he has to change. It was a long visual novel, but I liked it. It's different from what you usually expect with furry visual novels, where it's like, oh, they ended up happily ever after. Well, but there's like no strife, there's nothing in between. There's the road from point A to point B is a very bland story. This is a winding story that took us through a whole forest of self-discovery. Anyways, but yeah, so what are your thoughts? Write it down in the comments, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play the In-Between or any of the other visual novels for the Love and Attraction game jam thing, you can do so by going down into the links in the description, which should have direct links for the itch.io pages and etc, etc. All my other links are down there too, in case you want to become a channel member, the link for that. It does help the channel, it does help support the channel. For Ko-fi, in case you just want to support me. And Throne, in case you want to buy me something nice like a book. I like books, I like to read, if that isn't obvious. But yeah, so I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.